Hello friends, welcome to my channel ELS English Literature Studies with Gaur Harpreet. As you know, we are discussing about romantic age and its features in detail, and after that I'm going to discuss romantic poets one by one. And the topic I have chosen is William Wordsworth, and in my previous video I have discussed William Wordsworth as a poet of nature, poet of man, poet of childhood, and I would like to thanks a lot for showing you so much love and response for my previous video on my Facebook page, that is ELS English Literature Studies. And today I'm going to discuss Wordsworth's style of writing and what are its limitations. So let us start with video. Wordsworth represents a remarkable contrast in his style. It ranges from sublime to the ridiculous. He has a middle style. It has more dignity and heart-searching simplicity. According to him, poetic style should be simple and sincere. It should be the language of everyday life. He advocated the use of simple language in his poetry and rebelled against the formal use of language and expression of sentiment in it. For him, the language is a very potent and powerful vehicle of depicting reality at social level. His style of writing starts with a keen pulse of giving due weightage to imagination and trying to understand life and reality encaged and hidden. His style of writing includes love for nature. He related his experiences to bring out the change in perceptions based on emotions. It means he gave priorities to emotions. It is his belief that all reality is identical with divinity and God composes everything. He brought again the realities and ideals of life as the permanent realities of life. Wordsworth's highest style of writing springs from his recollection of childhood, and this recollection was added to the end of his book Lyrical Ballad as a spontaneous poem. His style adds all of the romantic perceptions such as nature, the individual, the imagination, which he used to his most creative extent to create recollections of nature and emotion. And this is very clear when he says in Tinton Abbey, "For I have learned to look on nature, not as in the hour of thoughtless youth, but hearing often times the still." And these lines shows his deeper understanding of the true temperament of the human individual. Many critics say that he has two styles. A few argue that he has many styles, and still some says that he has no style at all. Poetry of the preceding period suffered from the artificiality of a language and had lost all their power of suggestion. And how it is different from romantic age, I have discussed in my previous video, in which I have discussed what are the differences between neoclassicism and romantic age and how these ages differ from each other, in which I have discussed that neoclassical age suffered from the artificiality of language. They used bombastic words, but these romantic poets shake off these chains, and William Wordsworth dared to employ his own style, which is relatively simple and spontaneous. His experiments in simple style of writing were intended to arouse the ordinary man's sympathy for his fellow man. He had simplicity of diction and the demands of rhyme. The main theme of his style of writing is that poetic style should be as simple and sincere as the language of everyday life. That is why he draws elemental feelings and simplicities through his imagination for his art. He advocated the use of simple language in poetry. He said that poetry should be written in a language really used by men in humble and rustic. He set himself free from the task of conceits and phraseology. William Wordsworth himself once said, "Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings." He asserted that poetry is the most philosophic of all writings. He stressed on sincerity, depth of feelings and passions. Sincerity, simplicity, and naturalness are the three prominent qualities of his style of writing. And talking about his limitations, there are some limitations of his style of writing or his poetry. He wrote a great deal and with an unequal power. His poetry is a curious mixture of highest poetry, dull and flat poems. His poetry is narrow in its range. It revolves mainly around common life, common people, simplicity, and most of the time he is discussing nature as a priest, etc. These are his fields. It is also devoid of humor. Sometimes we see abstract vocabulary in his works, which shows direct influence of Milton's style on his works. His one-sided idea of humanity also limitation. Matthew Arnold says he has no style, and according to Swinburne, meditation and sympathy, not action and passion. Meditation and sympathy were the main strings of his serene and stormless lyrics. To conclude, I would like to say Wordsworth is a great poet of his century. The power of Wordsworth's poetry derives from the intensity and sincerity of his spiritual experience. He felt deeply, but the emotion was calm and not a turbulent passion. So, friends, this is all about my today's video in which I have discussed William Wordsworth and his style of writing. I hope you will like my video, and if you like it, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe my channel. And if you are new on my channel, please hit the bell button so that you can get notifications for my upcoming videos in which I will discuss about romantic poets one by one in detail. And thanks a lot for watching.